The darkness within. Jack's wife tried to kill him last week. During the week that followed, he was numb and could not process what had happened. When he came to, he realized she had been acting strange the days and weeks leading up to the assault. She'd been spending more time in the basement, and subtle moments of an internal violent conflict had become apparent. She became upset over many things. If she awoke because Jack had to leave for work, she would berate him and barely say goodbye. If he didn't respond to a text soon enough, he'd receive an earful the next phone call. If he forgot to put the remote on the table, she would begin flipping small pieces of furniture, or just start throwing the cushions at him. She always seemed apologetic, in her own way. But that's what she expressed towards Jack. To herself, Jack noticed she'd keep rubber bands on her, and she was almost constantly pulling back on the band on various parts of her body. She was covered in bruises and small welts. He noticed while laying in bed with her, naked, that she had cut herself shaving her legs. Seemingly over and over again. Seemingly as well, purely by accident, like she hadn't stopped despite the pain of the razor cutting her skin. Between these fits of rage, and careful observation, Jack hardly saw his wife. She'd been spending time in the basement, a little more every day. Jack never liked basements, at least not his own. An old house with lots of old house problems. A lot of dark corners. Usually, if Jack knew she was down there he would call to her from the top of the stairs. But during those final days, she would take longer and longer to respond, and would seem more irritated if he had to call to her a few times. And every time, he saw his wife would furiously wash her hands, the soap and water turning a dark color. Jack barely knew what would keep her so deeply interested. But he refused to go down there to find out. He came home from work during those final minutes of her life, to find her in the kitchen with a knife. She was sobbing, covered in blood and some kind of dark liquid. "I don't want to do this," she cried. "Lydia, what are you talking about?" For Part 2. Follow and like.